So it is happening right now, and most people don't even realize it. There is a major food shortage, grain shortage, and many people are wondering, is now the time to panic? Well, here's what I can tell you. International officials are telling us and warning us that there is a global food crisis that is intensifying as a result of the war over in Ukraine. Even today, the Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky, he warned of a hunger catastrophe, all because Russia is blocking Ukraine's grain exports. Now, from the past videos that I've done, I've been warning everybody here on this channel of the coming food crisis. But here's one of the most common questions I get. Why is grain so important when the United States produces their own grain? We do. We do a very good job of producing grain. We also import a lot of grain as well. But let's talk about that for a moment. Before the war, Russia and Ukraine provided roughly 35% of the world's grain. But Ukraine has actually lost about 17% of their grain as a result of the war. And what happens when other countries are struggling? They cannot provide for themselves. What happens? Well, if you said the United States rushes in and rescues them, that's exactly what happens. And that's exactly what we're doing. We provide them with the goods that they need. And in this case, the U.S. is and has been providing Europe and other countries with grain. Guess what? That means our price here in the United States goes up. Now, it's not a huge problem for the United States because we are buying things that are very expensive, but at the same time we're selling things and we're exporting products that are also very expensive, which means we kind of come out even. That's good news. Now, I want to address what President Zelensky said, because he said today that Russia is blocking Ukraine from exporting more than 22 million metric tons of food. This includes things like grain, barley, sunflower, and more. Now let me show you this chart, okay? Let me show you this chart right here. This is Ukraine's projected share of world exports for 2021 and 2022. Right here, they're 50% of sunflower oil. Barley, look at this, okay? Corn, wheat, rapeseed, okay? They produce a lot of products. They produce a lot of food. Now, I want to bring that to your attention, but I also want to explain what President Zelensky said. He had this to say today. If we do not export in the coming months, key word, if we do not export in the coming months, if there are no political agreements with Russia through intermediaries, there will be famine. There will be a catastrophe. There will be a deficit. There will be a high price. So he made it very clear. There will be famine, shortages of food. That's going to be devastating to those countries. It's going to be a catastrophe. There will be a deficit. We are already seeing high prices. Now, White House officials don't believe that us here in the United States will experience famine. That's good news. But as other countries do experience famine, guess what? We export more products, usually at higher prices, but we're going to do that for many months until they are back on their feet. But again, this is what President Zelensky is saying. If we do not see Russia pull out and we continue to see this war go on, it's going to hurt not just European countries, but the entire world. Now keep in mind, here in the US, okay, we average about 48 to 50% of our calories and food energy come from grain. But it doesn't stop there. That's not the only reason why grain is so important. We use grain to help feed livestock. So let's say you buy, meat, probably coming from livestock. Do you buy milk? Guess where it's coming from? Well, we also manufacture some cooking oils. We need grain for that. We need grain for fuels, cosmetics, You like to drink, like to have a drink after work, or maybe on the weekends. Well, we need grain for that, right? So that's one of the other issues is grain is ingrained into our economy. No pun intended. But let me answer the next question that I get all the time. And that is it time to panic? I get this so many times a day. And the answer is actually quite simple. Honestly, you should not panic. And to go a step further, should you panic buy? Is now the time to panic buy? Should I get out there tonight or this weekend? Start buying goods? Well, it's never a good idea to panic buy. The reason people panic buy is because they were never prepared to begin with. But if you've been listening to any of my recommendations and listening to the videos about buying things that you need for the future and being prepared, then panic buying is something that you just won't do. It's not necessary. So, the last thing I want to say is this is happening right now. We are seeing major food shortages. There is a grain shortage, right? You need to start prepping, because I can tell you right now that if you are not preparing for a future food shortage, and not just a U.S. shortage, a global food shortage, then yes, you will eventually be panic buying, which means you'll be paying more money and you will likely get the items that you didn't even want. It's just that was all that was on the shelves, so you picked it up. All right? So just remember, if you want to be prepared for any future catastrophe, now is the time to prepare. All right? So just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.